I've been a project manager from way back when, and I steered into cybersecurity because more and more of my work was involving cybersecurity issues like defending the database and creating and setting up identity and access management and so on and so on. So I figured I wanted to go whole hog into it. But I have not left my project management background behind. It's a big part of how I conduct cybersecurity, and I wanted to share it with the audience. So this is how good project management ensures application security. So here's why application security needs project management. And starting with, project management ensures that secure applications are implemented. IT and security professionals first need to create an action plan, and after that stage, they need to actually implement the action plan. And action plans can be created with security frameworks by NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology, or alternatives like COVID and ISO 27001. But these frameworks are not specific action plans. They are only guidelines. And NIST itself, on its own website, says that its project framework is guidance. It should be customized by different sectors and individual organizations to best suit their risks, situations, and needs. The framework should not be implemented as an uncustomized checklist or a one-size-fits-all approach for all critical infrastructure organizations. And some cybersecurity departments forget these things. They consider the framework as the action plan, but truly, for an effective action plan, project management will provide the customization needed by security teams to successfully carry out their projects. And how does it enhance app security? Let me count the ways, with apologies to Shakespeare. Project documentation clearly outlines project implementation and expectations. If you're not clear on where you're driving, you will get lost, and you won't get to where you want to go. So project management best practices, first and foremost, really, define the project deliverables to be in the final project. Deliverables are pieces of the project that are cut into little chunks and assigned to different people to do. And the chunks are tested and then put together and tested again. And you have an implementation software or whatever that meets exactly what the stakeholders wanted in the first place, because those deliverables are based on the wishes of the stakeholders who wanted the project to be done. Project management best practices from the beginning will set constraints on project budgets and timelines, and they will be monitored as the project goes along. If the budget starts to go too large, then monitoring is the best way to keep it in check, and project management allows for that. Project management also emphasizes timelines to follow, and they need to be monitored as well, because you may be 3 weeks away from the end, and if you're not paying attention, you only have half the project finished, and then you're working 20 hours a day to try to get it over the finish line on time. And monitoring using these constraints will help avoid that. Project management defines and matches project tasks to the project goals. This is crucial. You don't want to deviate. You don't want to go off on a tangent doing tasks or coding or developing features that are not requested by the stakeholder. And in cybersecurity or any other method of doing projects, these tasks sometimes just go off the rails, and they're not paying attention to what the stakeholders want. And that fits in with number 4, which is the goals of your project need to be matched to the goals of the business. I'll explain later that matching the project goals to the business goals is a way to garner approval from the executives who are stakeholders. But it also means that these cybersecurity projects will blend in with the business operations and enhance the operations instead of interfering or slowing down the operations and the tasks of people who use the cybersecurity software or hardware that you just created for them. So this is what project management it keeps you on the straight and narrow, let's put it that way. And project management emphasizes executive buy-in, and it's formalized. If you don't have to use project management best practices, you can kind of run the project as you want and get approval from anybody who may approve your budget. But if it's not the right executives, they will not consider your cybersecurity project top priority. So it's important that you get the highest level sponsors for these projects that you can. Executive approval of the project timeframe, budget, and change management process gives your project credibility. It simply, it may not be a guarantee, but it sure as heck assures that if there are any questions from anybody about the budget or the change management process or time frame, you can just point to the executives who have approved what you are doing.
Hey, Mark, Checo here.
Yes.
Question on that. I've been involved personally in several large projects that were multi-year, and we had the executive buy-in, and then every at the end of every year, right, they have a change of heart. How do you try and um, how do you try and make sure that buy-in is sticky even if there's a change in management leadership or there's a change in direction from the top level?
Uh, if they're insistent that it has to change, they're in charge, not you. However, a good guide is to plan in a charter that is created before the project happens, that puts in a schedule and an approximate budget. And if it's multi-year, it's in this charter. Uh, and
I like
you
that. I
can
like the
point
idea of
to
a
it.
charter. I like that.
Yes, I always insist on it, because it saves trouble later when someone says, no, we're not supposed to be putting that in the software. But you point to the charter and say, well, here it is, and you signed it. And the schedule in the charter can be multi-year. I've done it, budget multi-year, and it stuck. I was able to carry out the project within 2 fiscal years, and nobody questioned it. And even if they do, I've heard stories that a project manager can just point to the charter, and the charter was signed by these executives, and it sticks. So I hope that was a satisfactory answer for you.
No, that's great. In fact, someone in the comments said they actually did that. They used a charter and it worked for them. So that's great.
So yeah, it saves trouble. Besides the fact that it's good project management, and finally, the executive buy-in includes not just time frame and budget, but that you can guarantee that you will get the personnel and the resources that you need for the full length of the project, and that these resources and personnel will be there when you reach a certain stage where you need them. And because that can hold up a project, stop a project dead. You were promised, this super coder, and he's on another project and he's not available. You need to make sure that the people and the software and the network bandwidth is available to you at the time when you need it. And putting it in writing and getting people to commit is, I think, the best way to do it. So this one I love, which is alignment with the business operations. It's the biggest complaint, and I touched on this before, the biggest complaint is that some kind of security features are slowing down the operations, or they're interfering with operations. And it could be anything, and it garners ill will among the people who use the software, which goes up to the executive level and imperils what you're trying to do. But that's because that's because whoever is running the project did not take into account what the software, the security software, would do to operations. Simplest example is a password with multi-factor authentication. And some people may be annoyed, that, oh, the multi-factor authentication is going to slow us down, yada, yada, yada. But that's why it has to be included, and the data needs protection, and you need multi-factor authentication. End of story. But good public relations with the user community and getting them used to the fact that maybe they were slowed by half a second will get people to stop saying it's slowing them down. Optimized resource allocation, it touches on what I said earlier, that the availability of resources are there at the time you need them. Project management plans also optimize the utilization of project resources, and they ensure the right IT and security employees are available at the right time. Mentioned before, but it's worth saying again. In mitigation of project issues are mitigated by preparing from the beginning for anticipated project problems with budgets, delays, and deliverables. Simplest example is you make a schedule for the project from start to finish. And within the phases, every time I have padded in 3 or 4 days because the project may take a little longer, but the finish date is still there. The days are flexible, and you have to allow for it. You just plan in advance. And you need to make sure that your budget is being used at the rate that you need it to be used. You don't want it to be half done, the money to be gone by the time you're halfway through the project, which is what happened on one project I inherited. But I managed to get it done within the budget and on time anyway. I don't recommend it to anyone. And when you have unexpected project issues, you need to know how to prioritize which are the important ones. I used a system called red, yellow, green. Red was an issue that could stop the project from being finished. Yellow was an issue that could slow you down. And green was an issue that needed addressing, but you could take your time about it when you have some spare time. And what's the ultimate but rarely used and only used when you need it practice is escalating the issues to executive management when you're at some kind of a dead stop. I don't want to bother the higher brass. They have other things to do, but on occasion, you need their intervention. And that's why sponsorship by these people is crucial. Cyber risk management is where cybersecurity and project management intersect. This is where project managers and the security managers can work together and bond over the risk to a project or a network. And what what they have in common is they identify security vulnerabilities of applications before, during, and after the implementations. You're always watching out for holes in the software or vulnerabilities that may have been built in. A lot of times, and this includes some of the basement script kiddies who manage to hack Twitter or other companies, because there are, when you have an application, you intend it to be one way, but somebody can see, oh, I can also use the application to do this, to steal people's IDs, and that needs to be monitored. Maybe hiring the 17-year-old script kiddie would be a good idea. I mean, this happened in the movie Catch Me If You Can with Abagnale, and of course he served time in jail. But what happened after? He got hired by the FBI, the agency that arrested him, and you have to think like that. You have to think about what else can this application be made to do. It's a major cybersecurity way of thinking that you need to keep in mind always. And the application risk management should be planned. You should subject the application to all kinds of fuzzing and testing, and of course regression testing, and testing it in the sandbox, so that when you implement it, you don't have unexpected consequences, which will get you more ill will from the user community. I'm all in favor of getting goodwill, so I pay a lot of attention to people about their stuff. And sometimes when I'm working with user community on an application, I often go to the crankiest, most complaining person in the department, sit down next to them and say, what's wrong with the system you have now? And it usually shocks the person. They're not used to being listened to. So they say, well, this is wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. I'm busy taking notes, and it saves me a lot of trouble when I'm putting the application together. And it brings on board the other people, because if the crankiest person is on board with using and accepting whatever software or cybersecurity you're putting in, then the others will follow, because they think, oh, okay, if she likes it, then it must be okay. So takeaways, and what my takeaway is emphasizing project management and cybersecurity working together, and people learning from each other's professions. You can learn, if you're not you can learn how good project management helps you improve application cyber resiliency, because there is a certain set of steps that you go through that will help you make sure all your deliverables are done, and that all the deliverables work as intended. You can discuss, I always discuss with my colleagues the benefits of blending project management principles with enhanced application security. As with risk, they have so much in common, and there's so much information that they can share. If you're a project manager, be a go-to person for cybersecurity people who need information. If you're a cybersecurity person, learn enough about project management and cybersecurity that you'd be a go-to person as well. and that falls in with seek opportunities for cooperation between cybersecurity and project management personnel. Project management by itself is not the be all and end all. NIST is not the be all and end all. You need to work with both. So, thank you. And questions?
Yeah, Mark, I see a question from Yolanda. How successful have you seen Agile implementations follow a roadmap like or application with the project plan stages?
You're talking about Agile, right?
Yeah.
Yes. You have the stories, and for a lot of times, the person who gives the stories is not thinking about cybersecurity. And so the person who gathers the stories needs to question, needs to talk to the person about cybersecurity issues that would need to be dealt with by the Agile development team. It's not traditional to put cybersecurity features in a project until after the project is running, which is not the best way. It's always better if cybersecurity and project management are both baked into the product when it starts being built. But it takes again, it takes some work and some discussion to get cybersecurity and project management features added.
Hey, so I have a similar question to this. So, I know project management is a very structured uh, field as well as software development lifecycle. But software development life cycles, like Yolanda mentioned, we have Agile, we have Lean, and we have Waterfall method. Waterfall works really well with existing project management styles, but sometimes, like when you're dealing with, again, Agile or Lean, they don't fit one to one with the project management style. So when these two types of formats diverge, is it easier to change the software development process or change the project management process?
Um, I would say both. I mean, the software development lifecycle process is not made in stone, and project management is certainly not made in stone. I mean, I've read the official project management book called PMBOK, and if it was printed and you dropped it on your foot, you'd break your toes. Um, it the project management guidelines, as I see it, are meant to be flexible. You take what you need as long as you stick to the core principles. Whether it's waterfall or spiral or any of those things, you need to follow the basic principles that I've outlined. But again, they are not made in stone. If they can be, I adapt them, as I see fit. But as long as the project management goals are matching the operations goals and are matching the deliverables that the high level stakeholders want.
And if the development manager allows you to modify their process, right, or work with them to modify their process.
Yes. Yes. Again, it's not made of stone. It just like NIST says about its framework. It doesn't fit. It's not meant to fit every project and every business. It's up to each company to modify it and make it work according to their business needs and processes. So that's how I look also at project management.
No, that's great, and it's funny. I didn't realize it at the time of scheduling, but having Ken talk about the way cybersecurity fits into the paradigm of legal and privacy, now looking at cybersecurity and how it fits into the paradigm of structured project management. It's again, I'm thinking a different way now of the cybersecurity development process. So thank you. I mean, any other questions out there? Do you use the OWASP top 10 to ensure the application software is being developed is secure? So is the OWASP top 10? I know it's on the mind of every development manager. Do the project managers try and ensure that as well?
I do. And a lot of them are, it's not rocket science to incorporate, to keep in mind the mistakes that have made the top 10. Passwords, password 123, that seems to always make the OWASP top 10. But it is a good checklist and a good way of catching yourself if if your project is doing one of those things in the OWASP top 10. It's a good way of ensuring security, and the top 10 is not really sufficient. There's a whole list of things that need to be kept in mind. And I do that with project management. That's another way that I merge cybersecurity with project management.
Okay, that's great. A third-party remediation project was completed on time except for one task dependent on another party. Money was not an issue. It is deemed to close the project as is it? It is. I'm trying to think. It is deemed to close the project as completed, and then put that task into another action or project that is starting anew. Is this a good way forward? Okay. So basically, I think they're asking that if you couldn't complete the entire project, there were tasks that were overdue. Um, is it does it make sense from a project management perspective to just put that in the next project or a new project and mark the other one as completed?
That's exactly what I do, and it's good. It ensures good relations with the stakeholder because you have to work with the stakeholder and be honest and be as far in advance of the deadline as possible and say, look, the time is coming up. We've needed more time to get this project going, and we can get everything done, all the essentials done. There are a couple of bells and whistle features that we can do in a phase B project, not too far down the road. And almost every time, the stakeholder is relieved that the project is going to be finished and they can live without those bells and whistles for a little while. So being honest, being upfront, coming in early, and promising that what the major things that the stakeholder wants will be there on time. I've never had a problem of somebody saying, "Oh, I want those bells and whistles right now." They're just happy to have the project done when they need it. So I hope that answers the question.
Oh, I think that's a great answer. Okay. Well, Mark, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today. Again, new perspective on cybersecurity. I love it.
Oh, great. It's spread the gospel. And thank you for having me on.